I brought a lot of books here this week. Some of them I forgot last week. Here's a archaeological Bible. It tells about all the archaeology of the Bible and everything. And in the Genesis 1, it talks about the different ideas of creation. And all of it goes back to Babylon, basically. And if you want to look at this after the class or something, you can. But it goes back and talks about all the different ideas of creation. This, you've seen me bring many times. This is a Hebrew Bible by the Jewish Publication Society and their translation. And I compare the translation. Actually, it's not a translation. It's an interpretation. What we're doing is translating it. They interpret. There's a whole lot different for the interpretation and translation. Now, last week, Brother John asked me if I had a Bible that translated Genesis 1 and 2, and the earth she became, formless and void. There's one right here. This is the Restoration Original Sacred Name Bible. The group that put this together is like the Seventh-day Adventist offshoot. Okay? And they won't, they use only the name Yahshua, which is Jesus. If you don't pray in the name of Yahshua, then you're not addressing their God. So they're extremists. But when they did this translation, I was one of their foundation. These people asked me, the people that put this together asked me my opinion on the different places in there, and they had one representative. She kept coming to my house. Her name was Eve. Hava is what they called her. And anyway, and they gave me one.
You said they were offshoot of Jehovah's Witness?
No, Seventh-day Adventist. Seventh-day Adventist. They worship. They keep the Sabbath. Now, the Sabbath to them is only the Sabbath. That's the Sabbath that's in Jerusalem. The Sabbath is the Sabbath that's in Jerusalem. They won't. That's the day that's a Sabbath. Okay, not here. But in what it is in Jerusalem, and it correctly is at 6 p.m. on Friday night to 6 p.m. on Saturday. They got that right. They got a lot of things right, but they are extremists, and they just go to seed on so many things. In the New Testament and in the Old Testament, when it comes to the name of God, they give it to you in Hebrew, which is good. Now, this Bible, as far as I know, is out of print, but you can get one. Did you get one of these, Randall? How much did you have to give for yours? What?
It was
$72 or something like that. You can get one anywhere from $30 to $100. They aren't in print, but it's nice study tool if you really want something to study, okay, and look at. You've got Hebrew and you've got Greek. I mean, you've got interlinears and you've got Hebrew Old Testament. You can look at it, and you're going to know enough Hebrew and Greek from studying these classes that I teach, so where you can go do that. Okay, you don't really need it, but if you wanted to look at a quick tool, here's a quick tool. Okay. Here is a real high quality Hebrew Bible, and it's printed. Hebrew has got a real problem with it. Most of the people that put out Hebrew interlinears don't know the Hebrew language. Did you know that? They print them. And they print, the Hebrew print is so poor you can't tell half the letters from others. And sometimes they don't even print the vowel markings, which they didn't have back then anyway. Okay? But this one here is printed really well. So you can pass this around. I'm going to show it to the camera here real quick for just a moment, because it's got beautiful print. I mean, it's real Hebrew print. It's good. You can pass that around and look at it. I am, and then we have the Brown, Drivers, and Briggs Hebrew lexicon. This is the one I cross-reference to all the time. In fact, I use other ones also, but this is Brown, Drivers, and Briggs, and as you can see, I've used it a lot. The fact is, I got to put a cover on it because it's falling apart. Here is the Analytical Hebrew lexicon. Now, it's totally different. All right. It lists every Hebrew word. I'm going to pass this around for you to see too. I'll put this up here in the camera, because people are studying this from a long distance, even on video. You've seen these. this Analytical Hebrew lexicon. It'll tear down the word in parts of speech and tell you whether it's a noun or a verb, and decline it and conjugate it. All right, decline nouns, you conjugate verbs. Tell you what it is. Okay, so there that is. Here is another one. I've got a Davidson's also, but this is Gesenius Hebrew lexicon. These are lexicons. Now they are not analytical lexicons or lexicons. They tell you the base root words. That one goes through the whole rigmarole and conjugates and declines them, okay? Here is the Septuagint. Almost all Septuagints are printed with the Apocrypha, because the Apocrypha was originally part of the Bible, okay? And the Apocrypha is in it also. Okay, the Catholic Church always has the Apocrypha in their Bibles. The Anglican Church, Calvin and Luther did originally. The King James Bible always was supposed to have the Apocrypha in it. After the Protestant Reformation and some of the modern leaders, they started leaving out the Apocrypha, and pretty much now it's not in our Bibles. It's a good thing to know what it is and what it says and everything else. Anyway, this is the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament. Now, when they translated the Greek Septuagint from Hebrew, they translated it with a preconceived idea of what they believed. They interpreted it. They did not translate it. Okay. We can see, and I can show you all these things. Now, again, I want to explain something to you about Hebrew. When I took Hebrew, I took classic biblical Hebrew. Okay? Classical biblical Hebrew. Classical biblical Hebrew is not the same as modern Hebrew. I want you to understand that. Brother Hubbard used to tell me that the modern Hebrew, now they speak it in Israel, you know, okay? But how long ago did they start speaking Hebrew again? It wasn't that many years ago, okay? And that's the national language of Israel. But Brother Hubbard used to say it's Yiddish. It's not real Hebrew. You will not find one Hebrew, classical, biblical Hebrew grammar that will agree with them at all. They do not agree. The words are pronounced differently. Now in Greek, I just have to say this because I've studied Greek from the German standpoint and from the what I think is the actual standpoint. I studied Hebrew from the biblical, classical Hebrew, much inflected from German, okay, because their greatest scholars, language scholars, were German. And I also have studied it from the modern-speaking Hebrew. We're going to pronounce the Hebrew like they do, because that's where we live in the world today. You're not going to run into very many Hebrew scholars. And if you hear some rabbi on television or Zola Levitt or whatever, you know, when you see them on TV, they're going to be speaking the Yiddish Hebrew and not biblical Hebrew. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and just pronounce it. I want you to know that it's pronounced the Vaz or Vaz and the Wav. It's either Va or Wav. Okay? These grammars, all of these grammars, I can bring 6 or 7 of them here, and they're all going to pronounce them Wav instead of Vav. But since you're going to be watching things and whatever, we're going to go ahead and go with the modern pronunciation of it, okay? I will go with what I believe is the actual pronunciation of the Greek. It's different than what's in the grammars. What is this in English? A U. All right? The Germans, when they translate this, they call it an upsilon, but it's actually an ypsilon. Okay? So it's a Y sound. Okay? The word, they pronounce the word, this is how they say this. This is Lord. How would you say that? Huh? Kurios. But that's not the way it is. It's Kyrios. All right? But the grammars that are basically the German-based grammars are pronounced you instead of Y. Okay? I believe that's incorrect from all of my studies that I've studied. And if you really want to get down to the Hebrew, probably the grammars are probably more accurate than the modern pronunciation of Hebrew, but we're going to go with the modern pronunciation because that's the common, okay? All right, we're going to go with it. Simply, but I want you to understand that there is two different ways. A lot of the Jews today, they'll say, when someone's speaking biblical Hebrew, they say, I don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what you're talking about. Well, I'm going to tell you something. They don't know the grammar either. I know the Hebrew grammar better than they do, but I know it both ways. I can pronounce it either way, so what? Okay? You're kind of getting the double-barrel shot of this thing. You know what I'm talking about, right? You've been around a little bit. The word Jehovah. We've looked at that before. Jehovah. This is basically what it looks like, okay? I don't point it. They point it. And they will call it Yehovah. All right? Yehovah. Like that. And they'll put this where it sounds like a thought. All right? The grammars here will say that is an O and not a B or a WA. Okay? So that's going to be the difference. Now you've learned something that a lot of people don't know. Okay? But I thought I'd throw this at you so you would be able to interpret, because you're going to run into people out there. Okay? The modern Hebrew-speaking people are not going to agree with the old Hebrew grammar, okay, and the Hebrew pronunciation, because they say, well, we know this is our language. Yeah, it is our language. All right? So we're just going to go along with it, but I want you to know there's a difference between them. All right? And Randall, when we first had the first class, I think you appreciated the difference, so you would know the two different opinions of this, okay? All right. Now let's go and say the Hebrew alphabet again. And I'm going to show you one little extra thing, because we're getting far enough in Hebrew now that you're going to have to see this. You're going to learn the difference between a doggy slaney and a doggy sporty tonight. All right? A doggy slaney and a doggy sporty. A doggy slaney is where it makes this a hard sound. This is that's a bed, all right? But if it doesn't have this dot in the middle of it, it is a B, all right? All right? So that makes it a hard sound. Now this here is a doggy sporty. It's the same thing. All it is a dot or a ditch. But it makes this letter double. It makes it two letters, all right, instead of one. And we're going to see that as we read a little bit in the Hebrew tonight. Now have you got your Hebrew alphabet out there? Let's just say it so we can. It won't hurt to say it one time every week. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav. See there? I said Vav. It says Wa, doesn't it? There's a difference. All right. Zion, Het, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamet, Mem, Nun, Samik, Ayin, Pei, Sate, Kof, Resh, Sin, Shin, Tau. Now the difference between the sin and the shin is just when the dot is placed above the letter. Okay? Like this, that is an SH sound. Okay? Like this, it is an S sound. That's kind of simple, isn't it? The Hebrews have a very limited vocalization. They use a lot of S's, a lot of T's, a lot of G's, and a lot of B's, and B's, and A's, and E's, and I's. They kind of skip over everything else. But they use a lot of that, and a whole lot different tones. The tones are beautiful, okay? When you listen to Hebrew, and I played the Hebrew here for you a little bit, you can tell they can make sounds that we cannot make. You have to be trained to make those sounds from birth. Okay? The guttural sounds and things, we just cannot do it like they do. And the clicks down in the throat, We're not used to doing that. I can't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Castilian Spanish, because you spoke that from your birth. All right?
And I can pronounce some English words or letters because
You can't say that.
He doesn't.
The Lakota and the Dakota and the Nakota. Okay? There's 3 of the different Sioux tribes. Okay? The Lakotas say the Dakotas couldn't say L, so they say Dakota instead of Lakota. This is in a lot of languages. It's all over the world. It just doesn't. And have you ever tried to talk to a Scotsman or an Irishman from Ireland? I had a guy I used to own a firewood business, and this guy from Scotland would call me on the phone and try to order a cord of firewood, and I finally ended up, I said, I know who you are. And I know what you want. Just try to tell me what day you want it. Because I couldn't understand a word that man said. Yeah. It was just that way. All right. Do you have any questions? All right. Let's go, and we'll read. We're on 1 and 7. Genesis 1 and 7 now. Genesis 1 and 7. And I want to tell you this beforehand. I can pronounce it both ways. But we're just going to use the modern Hebrew pronunciation, too. I don't want to totally confuse you, okay? I just want you to know it's there. All right. Veya'as. Can you say that? See that word there? Veya'as. Say that. Veya'as. Elohim. That's a good one. Elohim. Et. Now, them Okies can say that real good. I done et. All right. And then the one, Harakia. And then Vayavel. It's got a va in it, which it would have a wool in it or o. In other words, if you pronounce this biblical Hebrew, it would be Wa-Yadel. Wa-Yodel. Here in modern Hebrew is Va-Yavdel. Okay? There is a difference. The end. Hamayim. Asher. Mit-ta-chat. Okay, that it puts 2 T's in there. This is the doggish 40. Okay? It has 2 T's. It makes 2 T's. Mit-ta-chat. All right? And then La Rakia. La Rakia. Yuvain. Hamayim. Now look at that word, the Hamayim there. We're in 1, 2, 3. The third line down, the far left, Hamayim. Do you see the mem there? That looks like this, okay? The mem has a dit in it. That dit makes it 2 M's. All right? That's a doggish 40. All right? Ha-ma-nayim. Ha-ma-nayim. And then Asher, Mial, La Rakia, Vahi, Cain. All right, now that's all the hard stuff right now. I want you to try to say those words a little better, a little louder. The first word is Vaya'as. Okay, Vaya'as. And what the translation should mean is that he made. He made. All right, he made. It is third person masculine and singular, Cal Stem. Okay, third person masculine singular, while consecutive imperfect. I know that sounds like a whole lot. It said that he made and he kept on making it stay there in existence. All right, that's the imperfect. Vaya'as, he made and he kept on holding it in place. The Hebrew has a gigantic. Hebrew is like shorthand. Look at that little word, Vaya'as. He made it and he kept on keeping it in place. That one word means all of that. All right? It's third person, masculine singular, cal stem, vowel consecutive and perfect. And it comes from Asaf. Okay? That's where it comes from. Now Elohim. By the way, you can look that word up on page 793. Do you see where that is? I'm not kidding you. You can go right over here to this here Brown Driver Briggs and look up on page 793, and you will find that word in here. Because I looked up every one of them for you. See right there? There it is. Exactly. All right. You can go to that page, and you can look that word up. What?
Explains what it is in English.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it says in Hebrew. Okay. But see, now you can take a Brown Driver and Briggs Hebrew lexicon, and now since you have this in linear with all the page numbers, you can go check me out. All right. Most of these Hebrew interlinears is going to have Strong's in there. Then you go check Strong's out, and you have no way of checking this guy out because this is the real source. Okay? I'm going direct to the sources, all right? And what is very important, many times I will put down the analytical Hebrew lexicon. Where is that? Is it over here? Okay, yeah. The analytical Hebrew lexicon. So you can go look at that also. And some of the places where it says became there, I've got the page number for this one down, okay? So, he made, and he kept on holding it into existence, Elohim, and then we have the sign of the direct object down, that word et. I et it, okay? This is the word et, right like this, all right? Now, as you read my Hebrew, it's a little different than the Hebrew printing, because I've done little things that make you, where you can understand that this is not a ket, it's not a head, but it is because it's got a foot on it, a towel, okay? Because the letters look so much alike. Sometimes in these interlinears you can't tell one from the other, okay? Their printing is so poor. So I made it look like a towel, okay? And it's got a little foot on it, and then it goes up with a little crown. Et, that's the sign of the direct object, and that's on page 84. You can look that one up, okay? And then we have the word harakia. Look at that word harakia. Harakia, you can look that one up on page 956 in Brown Driver Briggs. Now it means a breathing space, an open space. Now, last week I didn't draw this little figure out here. We got to look at this. Okay. So here right now. Here is the earth. We're just going to make a little bitty earth here today. And one part of it is water, and the other part of it is dry ground, aretz. Okay? Aretz. And then around the earth is a giant ocean in the sky. That's what it's talking about here. This is the way God made this right here. Now, in here is a breathing space. That's what he's talking about right here, this atmosphere. That's what he's talking about, building, making, and holding it in existence. Not only do you make something, but you have to keep it working. Now, Colossians, the first chapter, says that Christ created all things and that he holds it in place. Here, the Hebrew says that God created this, and this is Christ doing it, the Christ of the Godhead creating this thing, and he holds it in place because of the Hebrew grammar. Cal stem, wow, consecutive, imperfect tense. All right? Third person, masculine, singular. He did it. Okay? The Bible, when you study the Bible from the original language, all you're going to do is get your, if you believe correctly, all you're going to get is your beliefs confirmed and it's pounded out on an anvil and hammered down to where you know what you believe. Just like that. You know what you believe. You don't have to take anybody's word for it. You know what you believe because the Bible's going to tell you what it says. Brother John, when I came up out in the parking lot, I asked him if he's getting any Hebrew, and he said he's getting the Bible. You're getting a little Hebrew. You're going to learn more Hebrew in a few weeks than you ever did before. You never thought that you could understand Hebrew as much as you will because you're going to be you're getting it by induction as you read it. And try to say these words with me, all right? The breathing space, harakia. Say that. Harakia. All right? You don't have to read it in Hebrew there, but there it is. See that hay on the front of it? Roll, the kof, and ayin. All of this is down there, okay? Harakia with all the little vowels. The breathing space, the atmosphere. He creates the atmosphere and he keeps it in place. And then he says here, by Yavdel. And he calls to divide. He calls to divide. By Yavdel. He calls to divide. And that is third person masculine singular, again, wow, consecutive and perfect. He calls it to divide, and he kept it that way. The waters. He's going to hold the waters in place now. It's beautiful. God is going to hold the water down here in the ocean and the sky. He's going to hold them together, and he's going to help hold this water on the continent, the earth, and he's going to keep the dry land where it's supposed to be. Okay? He's keeping it in place. Between Bain, say that one, Bain, Ha-Mayim. Between waters, which, Asher, see that word, Asher. Asher, that one there you ought to be able to tell pretty easy. That's an easy looking word. Okay? See that one? With a roll. Asher. All right? Write it backwards and upside down almost, all right? But that's it, Asher. Asher, that means which. That's like a relative pronoun, okay? Which, and then we have a lot of, this is a hard word here, Met-ta-cha. 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 Okay? From, upon, underneath. Boy, see that word met, that mem in the front of it there, it means from, or from the same source or whatever. It means from underneath the breathing space. All right, the breathing space underneath. He keeps the waters all in one place here. They're just held together. How did he do that? By gravity. Now, how in the world does God keep the waters in the sky? The ocean in the sky. How does he keep it up there? It says he made a difference between them, and he kept the breathing space, he kept it apart. How many gallons of water did it rain out here in the desert of Los Angeles the other day? 2 or 3 inches. In an area, in a city, or in a county, it rains 2 or 3 inches. How much water would you have to ship there by truckloads and by boatloads to get that much water in an area, 2 or 3 inches? That's a lot. God can do it because he knows how to make the atmosphere.
Is it in clouds?
Yeah, in clouds. But this was the ocean in the sky. This is not the atmosphere that we have today. This is the primal atmosphere. Okay? This is what Adam and Eve lived in. We don't live like that today. This is what Noah lived in before the flood. Okay? There was an ocean in the sky. God kept it up there somehow. It said he kept it there and kept it in, he put it there and then he kept it in place. Right? I just accept that. I mean, if he can keep the clouds in the sky, falling on my head, and millions of tons of water and everything there, I'm sure he can keep the oceans in the sky. I don't have any problem with that at all. All right? The breathing space, he calls divide and kept on causing them to divide. Wow, consecutive and perfect. All right? Between Bain, Hamayim, Esher, Met-ta-chat. And then we have the word La Rakia again. The La Rakia is the breathing space. That's the breathing space. The La Rakia, and then Uvain. All right, Uvain. And then Ha-Mayim. Ha-Ma-Mayim is literally how you say it, because it's got that doggy sport in the middle of it. Esher. Esher, which, and then meal, from above. Meal, from upon. That's what it means. Meal. Say that word, meal. All right. That's on the fourth set of lines down. All right. That's the meal. It's got this looking word. It's got that M, or that G looking word. That's an element in Hebrew, okay? Down there. Meal, la rakia. All right, that's the breathing space. La rakia, that's the breathing space. And then we have the word vahi. Vahi. And that's third person singular, masculine, third person masculine singular, wow, consecutive imperfect. Look that one up on page 224. And it means that it became, it changed, it became that way, it became. All right. This is this root of the word Jehovah. This is the second word in Genesis 1 and 2. This is where the earth she became. The earth she became. Here is the word right here. By he. And it became. Thus. He. Chin. It became chin. Thus. Or thusly. That's how it was. It became so. In King James it said, and it was so. Literally, it changed from the state of primordial chaos that had become of the whole creation of God. Now God is putting order in it, and He is saying, do this, do that. The waters separate from the waters, and the earth separate from the earth, and He's going to hold it that way. It's going to remain that way. Okay? 1 in verse 8. 1 in verse 8. Vayikra. Did you say that one? Vayikra. Elohim. That's a good one. La Rakia. What's that La Rakia? That's the breathing space. All right? And Shamayim. Vahi. Erez. Vahi. Didn't know you could speak Hebrew in a few days, did you? Boker. Yom. Erev. All right, let's look at this. See there, you're talking Hebrew now. Modern Hebrew. Vayakia, Vayikra. Okay. Vayikra. And he called and kept on calling Elohim. He named it, and then he kept on calling it that name. Okay? That's the idea of the Hebrew language. He called it and kept on calling it. It's Cal, wow, consecutive in person, third person, masculine singular, page 894. You can look it up. Okay? It comes from Para. Elohim. What does Elohim mean? You remember that? That's the plural God. That is the Godhead. The whole Trinity did this. All right? The person of the Trinity that performed the act was the Son, Jehovah. All right? Now we have the La Rakia. Say that again. La Rakia. That's the breathing space. Okay? The open external surface, the expanse, the breathing space, the atmosphere. All right? And then we have the word Shemayim. Look at that word Shemayim there. Shemayim, it means the heavens. All right? The heavens. Now God is going to straighten out the heavens. It says, and that darkness became over the whole universe. When Satan rebelled, the whole universe became dark. Before that, it was light. And he was the light carrier, wasn't he? But when he became dark, the whole world, the whole cosmos became in darkness. Okay? Shemayim, the heavens. The word Im on the end of that, look at that word Im. By the way, my Im's are a little different. Here's what they look like in the Hebrew grammar, like that. You can't hardly tell other words from that, so I did like this, so you can tell that it is a man on the end. All right? I leave it open at the top. It's a little bit different. Okay? Shemayim, and then we have the word Vahi. Vahi, that's became. All right? And the heavens became. And became, all right, Vahi, Erev, Vahi, Boker. Vahi, Erev, Vahi, Boker. Can you say that? Vahi, Erev, Vahi, Boker. All right? And became evening, and became morning. Boker. See that? That base on the front of that word right there? Boker. Now this is a 1, 2, 3 on the right-hand side. This is what it looks like. All right? It's Boker. Like this. It's got that roll over there. Boker. Now that's a base, isn't it? But this base doesn't have a dot in it. So it's a B. Okay, it's a B. All right?
Look at that dotted field, what?
It would be a B. A B. It would be Boker. But it's Boker. Vahi Eretz. Vahi Boker. Yom. Look at that word Yom. Say that Yom. Now the modern Hebrews are going to like you put a little bit of B in there. Yom. All right, Yom. All right.
Yom Kippur.
Yom today. Yom each day. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, or Day of Covenant. Yom Kippur. All right, so you've heard it. Now you're learning where these words come from now. And then we have the word Sheni. Sheni. Sheni is 2. Sheni is 2. All right. Then became day 2. Day 2. All right. Now the vault of heaven, as the firmament, was regarded by the Hebrews as a solid and supporting waters above it, an ocean above and an ocean below. All right. They had the idea that this heaven in the sky was solid mass. It's an ocean. All right. You could have floated the boat up here. That's the kind of the way it is. This is what the idea of this was, the waters. Shemayim. Shemayim means the uplifted waters. Actually, it means uplifted waters. If Hashemayim would be the uplifted waters, to be specific. All right, 1 and 9. 1 and verse 9. Vayomer. You can say that one. Vayomer. Elohim. You get pretty good at that Elohim, aren't you? All right. And the Yikahu. All right. Ha-ma-yim. And then we have the word mit-ha-cha. Hashemayim. El. Makob. Makob. Or Makom. All right. And then we will have the word Ishad. Betara'ek. Betara'ek, like a veterinarian. Betara'ek. Hi-ya. Bashan. Okay, or Bashal, that is. Hira Bashal. And then Vahi. Cave. Let's look at this one now. Are you getting the idea of how the beautiful Hebrew draws the pictures? These are Hebrew word pictures, okay? Vayomer simply means he said and kept on saying. He said it, made a statement, and he kept that statement in law and form as true. Okay? It's third person, masculine, singular, vowel, consonant, consecutive, and perfect. Again, you can look that one up on page 555. And it comes from Amer. Then we have Elohim, the name of God again, for the triune God. And then we have the word here, Yikavehu. All right? And that word means they shall be gathered, is what it literally means. They shall be gathered. He's going to cause them to be gathered. What happens when it rains? The particles of water gathered together are caused to gather together, and they fall, don't they? Right? It shall be caused to be collected or gathered together. Hamayim, the waters. Okay? From under. Met-ta-cha-chet. All right? From under. Hashemayim. from under the heavens. That means that we got a lake down here, a great big body of water. It's going to stay in one place. God is forming this now. He's dividing. He's dividing. God always divides light from darkness. He always divides good from evil. And He divides wet from dry. Simple as that. Okay? So we have the dry ground. All right? The Aretz. And we have the waters, Mayim. And we have the Hashemayim. The Hashemayim literally originally meant uplifted waters. And what was up here above the earth? The ocean and the sky. All right. El. Makom. Makom. All right. And that means a standing place. A standing place. The waters stood where the water is supposed to stay in the water, and the dirt stood where the dirt was supposed to stay. And these waters above here stood where they were supposed to stay. What happened when the flood came? All havoc broke loose, didn't it? Because they didn't stay where they were supposed to be. All right? The standing place, and then it says one, Ashad. And then we have the word Betarak. That word Betarak means shall be seen. Shall be caused to be seen the dry land. Ha-ye ba-sha. The dry land. And it became Baki, so, or thus, upright. The word came there, chain, it means upright. It means thus. Now, Brother J. Lewis Guthrie said the earth was wobbling on a, just like, how many of you ever seen a top or something that was out of balance? You throw it, it just wobbles all over the place. He said that's the way the earth was. It was just wobbling in the universe because it had been just thrown into total destruction. It was all out of shape and everything, and God shaped it again, reshaped it. And He made the dry land, and He made the water, and now He puts the ocean in the sky, and He centralizes the earth for its balance again. Okay? 1 in verse 10. 1 in verse 10. Is this too much? Is Hebrew too much for you? There's a lot in it. I know. But when I say it and you say it, and you get used to hearing the words, it's easier. All right? Varakia. Varikra. Vayikra. Elohim. La Ya Basha. Okay. La Ya Basha. See that? Eretz. Uli Mikveh. Hamayim. Kara. Yamim. Vayar. Elohim. Ki. Tov. All right. If you say something is good, it's told. All right. In French, it's what, Dakota? What's good in French? Bon. Bonbons. The little bonbons. That's the goodies. All right. And Greek is kalos. All right. Kalos. And you can go on in different languages what good means. And this is spiritually good. Kalos. Tov. All right. And then it says, and He called, and kept on calling, Elohim, the dry land. All right? Li Ya Ba Basha Eretz. He called the dry land Eretz. Remember when I told you what Eretz meant? Eretz. It means dry land. Okay? Eretz. And then it says, and having collected, that's where Yuli Mikveh, and having collected, third person, masculine singular, perfect. Having collected. This is a done thing now. The Hamayim, the waters, and He kept on, or He called them, that perfect tense, He called them seas, Yamayim. Yamayim, seas. Seas is Yamayim. That's an ocean. Okay? Seas. That's this body of water right here now. We're not talking about little lakes or little ponds, but we're talking about the massive ocean. Okay? And the ocean was one piece of ground, or one piece of water at one time. They weren't continents at this time. This is what you call Gondwana or Pangea. Pangea means all earth. Okay? And then we have the word Vayar. Vayar. This is the word Jehovah Jireh. Brother Randall, this is that word that it comes from. It means to see. All right? And he kept on seeing. All right? And he kept on seeing Elohim that, or thus, upright, honest. Okay? The earth had been a chaos and a mess. Now he makes it upright and honest. That's what that word means. You can look that one up on page 467. And then we have the word tov. And that word is kalos in Greek. It's tov. This word here like this, see? Alright. Tov. Now see that face there? It's got a little heel on the back of that word. Tov. Say that word. Tov. Alright, tov. Good. Good. Kalos. Bond, or bone, all right? Good. It was good. It was upright. It was honest. It was brought back into order. Okay? We are having order now. It becomes order. 1 in verse 11. 1 in verse 11.
Do you have any more of these books here? Mine goes from 110 to 122.
Okay, there's something at the bottom there. If you've got for missing one, those machines over there sometimes goof up. They did that in the book of Hebrews too. Now 111. Vayomer.
This one's the same way.
All right. Then they miss 111 and all. Well, I'll tell you what they are.
Yeah, mine too.
Okay. Yours does the same thing. Well, they didn't do a very good job on that, did they? That's what lack of quality control.
You can go to 22 and come back. You get a chance to do that.
Well, we got to go here. Just follow me in your Bible then, unless they put it in some other place. Okay? I'd have to write myself a note on this one. Dakota, write down a note. Write down a note so I can call them. Okay? That page, or Genesis 1 and verse 11 through 21 is missing. All right? I don't know how they lost that, but they did, I guess. All right. Vayomer, Elohim, Sachi, all right, Haaretz, Deshe, Esav, Masriah, Got light down on the other one. I think we're getting a little bit of, nope, too much light gain in there. Okay. Where did I end up here? 111. Vayomer Elohim Tesachi Haaretz, and then Deshe, Esav, Masriah, and then Zerah, and we have Peri, Oseh, Peri, Lemino, Asher, Zorol, Baal, Al, Haaretz, Vahi, Cain. All right. Now let's look at this one. And he said, and he, not only did he say it, but he kept it to be true. He made a statement and he kept it true. All right? Elohim. Now this word Hachi here, that means to cause to spring forth, let her cause to spring forth. Now the earth already had seed in it from the original creation. All right? Their seed was already here. There was already plants. You know, there are plants, they can trace it by archaeology. my cousins that were here last week, Cindy is a what we call an environmental scientist. That's what she does in her job. She does that every day. She's a scientist. And when I brought this out in the Bible about how this original creation and everything, she said, man, I knew there was something in the Bible that tells this because I've seen this. She studied biology and all this kind of stuff. She saw and she knew that God had an explanation for all of what she had seen. Originally, in the original creation, there were early, what we call prehistoric. What does history mean? Prehistoric. His story. Man's story. Before man. Prehistoric means before man. Simple as that. Prehistoric plants that existed on this earth a long time ago. Now, there's some other ones that were put in here later. Okay? But there are prehistoric plants. The prehistoric plants and the prehistoric animal life is what makes your oil that you have today. Okay? God put it there because He knew that it would be used now. Okay? People would be fighting over it now. That's what's drawn them to the Middle East, all right? And then we have the word ha'aretz. All right? The earth. We know what that is. The earth. And then it says the word here, deshe, and that means sprouts and grass. Everything that sprouts. Things that comes out of seed. And it says herb, esev, that's herb, herbs. And then we have the word mazriah, and that's seeding, zara. Mazriah, zara. Okay, seeding seeds. So God calls the seeds to sprout that were in the earth, and then He puts some new ones and calls these seeds to sprout. Okay, so we have old prehistoric plants, and we have new plants that God's planting on the earth now, because He's going to feed a different society. Okay, seeding seed, and then we have the word etz. That's the word etz. That means a tree. All right, tree. Etz, peri, that's fruit. Peri is fruit. Aseh, that means to make. It means masculine singular and participle, and it's making fruit. Fruit, trees making fruit. All right, fruit trees making fruit. These are fruit trees that produce fruit. There are trees that don't produce fruit, aren't there? So these are the ones that produce fruit. All right? According to her species. That's what it says. According to her species. Lemonov. Lemonov. According to her species. And then it says, which? Ashar. Zorov. Vav. El Haaretz. Which its seed in it upon the earth. All right? With its seed in it upon the earth. In other words, the trees are going to self-pollinate between each other, and they're going to reproduce. That's what it says there. The trees are going to reproduce. And it became thus, or so. And it became thus, or so. Do you have any questions? No? Are you ready to quit for tonight?
Did they need bees?
What?
Did they need bees?
Well, we didn't have bees yet.
Oh.
We're going to find bees later, all right? But now God He's putting seeds in the fruit trees, like the apricots and the peaches and things like this. This is what they are, okay? The avocado trees, walnuts, all of this. This is the trees it's talking about, okay? These are the trees that have seeds that drop seeds and fruit. The animals are going to eat the fruit, and man's going to eat the fruit. I haven't created them yet, but if you have something, if you're going to buy a dog, you go out and buy the dog, but when you buy the dog, what you got to have to feed the dog? You better go buy the dog food before you buy the dog.
You got to have a yard to keep it.
You got to have a yard to keep it in. So now God is doing all this. He's got an earth. He's put an atmosphere in the earth. So these animals. So this was a greenhouse. This was God's greenhouse. A greenhouse will grow fruit all year long. This original creation here, the reconstruction of it, would grow fruit like a greenhouse. Produce a lot of fruit. And remember, there aren't any weeds. No weeds. All right. And boy, wouldn't that be nice, Brother Randall? No weeds. No weeds. All right. Next week we'll start off with 1 and 12. Did you get any of this? I'm sorry they left your verses out. Just bring your Bible there. If you have you can buy an in-linear, usually green's all right. You can buy a whole Bible, but the only bad thing about these whole Bibles, you know, I could have brought one of them too, but as you can see, I have a gob of books here. I didn't know which ones to leave at home and which ones to bring. All right. There are in-linears, you can buy them, they're about $50 or $60, and there's some of them, but look at the Hebrew print when you buy it. There's got some over at Barnes & Noble, probably the cheapest place, and they got Christian discount books or something like that, christianbooks.com. You can buy one from them, it's pretty cheap there. They're cheaper than Barnes & Noble or anything else. Go down to Barnes & Noble, it's going to cost you $80. You can buy one at christianbooks.com, you can buy one there for about $40. So that's about 30% savings at least, if you want to get one of those. But if you can look at the print first, look at the print. Sometimes it's the tiniest little print that you can possibly see. That whole Old Testament in one volume, that print is so small that I can't read it with a magnifying glass. All right, if you want a good Hebrew Bible, you're going to have to get something like this where you can read the Hebrew real well. But you could get you an in-linear so you could go and find the words, the English in there when you're looking up a verse, and then have a good Hebrew Bible where you could look it up and read the Hebrew. Okay, because hardly any of them. I've got a little worn-out in-linear Bible at home that I use that's got good Hebrew print in it, where I have not marked it up so bad that you can't read it. But I use that for a long time because print's good, and it is a little linear, but it's only Genesis and Exodus is all. All right. And I also have a 3-volume set in linear that's 3 volumes. You got to carry 3 of them with you if you're going to go any place. But this one big one that I have, it's about this tall, about like that, about that thick. That one's got the whole Hebrew Bible in it, but the Hebrew is so poor you can't hardly read it. But you do have it, whether you can read it or not. You can kind of guesstimate at what it says. Do you have any questions? Brother Randall, are you understanding a little more about Hebrew than you did before? Randall's taken some Hebrew before. And you probably had some questions about how to pronounce them. All right. Well, we're going to find out that there's 2 different ways to pronounce it. Okay? But all of the real Hebrew grammars, the biblical, classical, biblical Hebrew grammars will tell you the other way of pronouncing it. All right? It's not the that, but the wow. And you're going to get rid of a lot of the vowels in there. But it doesn't matter. The meanings is what really matters. What the Bible says is what really matters. All right. I'm going to turn you loose on the world. Go out and do something eternal this week now. And Brother Randall, would you dismiss us in prayer, please, brother?
God and Father, we thank you for gathering us together to study your word. Thank you for Jim to bring us a lesson.